I don't know why Vern doesn't have a lot of confidence in you taking that to the house, but you
I don't
did.
know either.
It is time to get back to work, not just for us here on the Spielman and Hooley podcast. Bruce Hooley, Chris Spielman with you, but for former Buckeye Zeke Elliott. Time to get back to work, and, well, it's easy to go back to work when you're getting paid like Zeke Elliott's getting paid. Spiels?
What is $45 million guaranteed?
I think 50.
50.
First I heard it was 100 million. Now I heard it's 90. First I heard it was 50, so maybe the 50 number.
So it's a
come down
6-year deal. So
Mm-hmm.
in essence, it's an 8-year deal because they're tacking on 6 years to the 2 years that he has remaining on his contract.
Yeah.
He's going to make up the guaranteed. The guaranteed money is what you look at, and good for him. Running backs are at such a disadvantage, Bruce. We've talked about this, and he's a vital part to that team. Running backs are lucky if they get 2 contracts. They get a contract on the night that they're drafted. They get some guaranteed money.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they get their second big contract. After that, they're lucky to move forward. Take a look at LaShawn McCoy, who was discarded by the Buffalo Bills, went to the Kansas City Chiefs. He's 31 years old. Once he hit 30 years old, it's over. Now, statistics and analytics tell us that 27 or 28 is the times that guys start losing a little bit of pop, whatever they have. And it's really quick. It's overnight. I mean, we saw it with Eddie George, right? There's a few outliers like Adrian Peterson, but I'm happy for Zeke. Good for him. Good for Dallas. They need him, I think, to be successful.
I mean, we want to react to it here because he's a former Buckeye, because you're a Fox NFL analyst, and we cover the NFL, and we talk a lot of NFL. And the thing is, all these contracts, it seems to me, when they're first announced, are a victory lap for the agent. And then as we peel back the layers and find out the guarantees and what point in the contract the guarantees run out, that's when we start to find, what it really is, and have they committed to him for 3-4 more years, which is what you and I said in the beginning was, if you have him under contract for 2, you add 2, that's a level of contract I'm comfortable with. I don't think there's any way in the world Zeke Elliott's a Dallas Cowboy in 8 years.
But I think when you give them that type of contract, and one of the reasons why a player agrees to, say, a 6-year extension, is that it helps the team as far as cap space and moving forward. Now remember, we have a collective bargaining agreement that's due up in 2021.
Yes.
And so that cap is going to be a moving target. That cap is expected to escalate. And so I think it's going to be fair. Now, the problem that the Dallas Cowboys have is that Amari Cooper's coming up, and Dak Prescott is still out there. Well, Amari Cooper's waiting for Julio Jones to set the market.
Yep.
Amari Cooper's not going to get paid what Julio Jones is going to get
nor
paid.
should he.
But he's going to be in the same zip code. But Jared Goff is exploded in the market with $110 million guaranteed.
That's a record.
But
that was
get
this
it
morning
because
as well.
you possibly, the way quarterbacks are now today, and you take a look at Breeze and Brady, these guys are playing till they're 40 or into their 40s. And the rules are set up where these guys can still be effective and they can still be very productive. And the rules are set up where these guys are meant to be kept healthy because it's for the good of the game.
Yeah, true. Good for anybody that gets paid in a very violent game. I'm happy for all of them. As it concerns Zeke Elliott, the one thing that you can take comfort in, if you're Jerry Jones, is you are paying for production. You look at Zeke Elliott, number 1 in carries per game last year, 20.3, yards per game rushing, 95, touches per game, 25. He got 47% of the Cowboys' offensive touches last year. 47%.
Well, that's how important he is to that team. And no matter the posturing that Jerry Jones was doing during the preseason, remember he came out with that quote, Zeke who?
Yeah, and then the other thing that I thought they would stick to was Stephen Jones, I think, said, we're not going to be trendsetters. We're not going to set the market. And they certainly sent the message they weren't going to go over the Todd Gurley contract, but they did. And we kind of saw it coming. You talked about cap, and this is all about cap, how they rework the cap, how they fit under the cap. Early this week, when they re-signed their right tackle, Lyle Collins, to a new deal, people were like, well, now Zeke's really hosed. No, he's not. They reworked that deal to get their cap under. It was a more cap-friendly deal to the Cowboys to pay Lyle Collins more.
Well, you have to do that, and I think the good teams, and obviously Brady's done this, and the Patriots do this a lot. The good teams, there's players within those teams that understand, okay, I have to rework my money to help the team. I'm still going to get paid there might be a little, it might be a difference of 1 or 2 million over a 4 or 5 year period, but it's going to help the team with the cap. One of the best things that happened to me, if you don't mind me sharing a
No,
little
please do. I think
personal
people find it
experience.
interesting.
When I went to Buffalo, I signed a contract. After my first, I signed a 4 year contract. After my first year, they needed help on the cap, and they signed me to a 2 year extension. So I knew I wasn't going to play 6 more years. I was 30 years old when I went or 29 years old when I went to Buffalo. So I knew they weren't going to pay me for 6 more years. And I said, okay, I will take less money in salary, but per year. But they rewarded me because they paid me another signing bonus. So I had the guaranteed money up front. And so when you look at these contracts, everybody knows it. The players know it. The agents know it. The number to look at, we've talked about it extensively on our radio shows, that the money to always look at is the guaranteed money. That's why we see reported is the guaranteed money, because I guarantee you, in the way he plays and the way they use him, there's no way he's going to last 6 more years. Now, at the level that he's playing. Now, if I'm the Cowboys, I don't know if I want him touching the ball 47% of the time. If they're as high on Pollard as they say they are, then Pollard has to be able to give him some relief, and you have to be able, I think, to save and use Zeke in a smart way. Instead of getting 47% touches and 25 touches a game, knock it down to 21 or 20 touches a game.
Yeah, well, it's certainly for this week's game against the Giants. Zeke will be on the practice field today, Wednesday. We think we'll see him Sunday. I would think his workload will be not nearly on Sunday what it will be, say, the second time through that NFC East schedule where he's really in football shape. Because no matter how much you work out in Cabo, you cannot be in football shape.
That's a luxury, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hanging out in Cabo, then flying to Dallas to get $45 million. Good for you, buddy. Good for you. I'm going to ask your opinion now. I think now what we're seeing with running backs is that we're seeing NFL teams are going to try and manage their running backs, much like, and you know more about this than I do, but Major League Baseball manages pitchers.
Yeah. Pitch counts, being careful of their innings.
Yeah.
You don't see complete games anymore in Major League Baseball. What's the point?
Yeah.
Everybody knows exactly what they're going to do. You know, your relievers, you can't dare use your closer in more than an inning and all that stuff. I mean, they do. And look, I mean, all the analytics now, people don't know this. Professional athletes now, a lot of them wear monitors. They are monitoring everything about these guys.
Dude.
They're monitoring your hydration intake, how your body functions, and all this kind of stuff. We know this because our good friend Dr. Pete Edwards, Ortho 1, has talked to us about this with Columbus Crew soccer players. And believe me, if they're doing it for soccer players who I don't know what they make, but they're not making $50 million guaranteed.
No.
They're doing it for NFL players, NBA players, and Major League Baseball players. It sounds callous. Every one of these guys is an investment, and you have to maximize your investment, particularly when you're in a cap situation. So from the nutritional perspective, from a sleep perspective, they're monitoring everything about these guys.
I wish I was treated more like an investment when I was playing, because I think it would have extended your career. I think everything's about injury prevention, and the amount of knowledge that is implemented amongst these teams as far as diet, sleep, exercise, amount of reps, the amount of the workload that they get is beautiful. We have the science, so why not take advantage of that science? I think it's awesome. I wish we had that. Now, the only thing that I want NFL teams to do, because I'm tired and I get sad when I hear this, in the past 2 years in training camp, the NFL lost 2 coaches.
In the last
2 years.
2 years.
Tony Sperano with the Minnesota Vikings. Then we unfortunately lost a good man, and his name slips my mind right now, so I apologize. But I know he's well respected. Receivers coach with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Right.
Look that up.
I will look that up.
Yeah, look that up. Why I go on a little bit of a rant here. If teams are spending all this money investing into their players, I want teams to invest in their coaches' health and hold them accountable. Daryl Drake,
62 years old,
had a heart attack, went into the hospital. They wanted him to stay overnight for observations. He chose not to, passed away the next day. It breaks my heart. And I get the football mentality, and I just know he was a good man and was well respected, and maybe this could have been prevented. But I think it's a wake-up call for all NFL teams. I never hear anybody talk about this. I might be the only guy in the history that's talked about this. We put so much time and effort into these players. Well, we have to also invest into the guys that help the players produce at the maximum level, and that's the coaches. And I think that coaches' health, they need to be monitored more. They need to be put on a training table. If they're overweight, I think it's the job of the administration, the general manager, or the ownership to say, look, our coaches are, maybe some do this, are going to go through a full health makeup, a workout, a physical. We're going to find out what you have, what you need to do, and we are going to hold you accountable. Because you're also an investment in what we have. We have the money, we have the means, we have the science to help you to perform at your maximum level. And also, I think it's the right thing to do.
I do too. I worry about Freddie Kitchens. You look at him, and he's just gaining weight like crazy, and a lot of NFL coaches are overweight. The guy, even on Hard Knocks a couple of years ago with the Browns, that offensive line coach, Bob Wiley.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, that's just not healthy. You're standing way overweight, 70 pounds, 80 pounds more overweight. You're out there in the hot sun. And here's the thing. Then they try to they wear like a sweat top or something out in the heat. It's just crazy. It's like, where's
back in the 80s.
The medical staff would never allow that for a player.
No.
And you're allowing that for coaches.
That's just kind of a little bit of a mission that I've been on, and I don't know how to get that message out. I've talked to Rick about it. I'm going to try to keep doing that.
Well, he doesn't have that concern with Zimmer because Zimmer's a healthy looking guy.
I'm not so. I don't care about how they look. I mean, there's overweight people that are extremely healthy, that might be healthier than you and I. We just don't know. I just want them to have, if they have the means and they have the resources to invest in their players and invest in the coaches, then I think it's got to be upon the coaches to demand that, for one, because of the lifestyle, because they live awful lifestyles. They're awful in their lifestyle choices as far as, some of them like to go out and drink and have a good time. I get it, just like any other businessman. But I just think there's a way to hold coaches accountable, and also for their own good. I don't want to take away their freedoms, but I also want to say, if I'm paying you $4.5 or $5 million a year, or you're a coordinator making $2 million a year, then you're going to follow the rules. And part of the rules are that you're going to work out, you're going to get in shape, you're going to have a full physical, and we're going to make sure that you are healthy, not only for the good of the team, but for the good of yourself. That sounds somewhat Orwellian, I guess, a Big Brother type of thing, but I do think it's important.
Well, I don't think so. In light of Urban Meyer and your
Did I use
friendship with
Orwellian?
Urban, you did.
In a correct manner.
And correctly. Very nice. Fantastic.
That's the upset of the day.
That's very good. But, I mean, and it should be pointed out, you don't have to be overweight to be unhealthy. It's like at Urban. I mean, Urban went the other way. Didn't weigh enough because he just, ground himself into the dust down at Florida and pledged to be different at Ohio State. And I think for a while he was. And then later on, his health problems, were they related to him, locking in too much on grinding to win a championship or not? We'll never know. Maybe that was a genetic issue with the brain cyst, but it is something that guys have to monitor. And it's actually something I really want to talk to Ryan Day about. The format at Ohio State.
That's a good idea.
It's hard to have that kind of a conversation with a coach because the way it works at Ohio State, and I was able to get 3 questions with Ryan Day yesterday, but more football related. When you're in that media environment at OSU on a Tuesday Ryan Day press conference, you have to be respectful of the other people around you in the room who are trying to gather game information. Yes. And if I start talking to Ryan Day about what I really would find most interesting to talk to Ryan Day about, and it's probably because where I am in my life with 3 daughters, and it's very important to me to have time with my daughters, to be invested with my daughters, each one individually and also collectively as a family. Ryan Day has young children. He has 3 young children. And I would love to know, A, do they think it's really cool now that they get to be in the coach's box in the press box? Mm-hmm. I sang the national anthem one time in a minor league baseball game, and my kids still talk about, that was so fun. We got to go in the skybox. We got all the pop and the cookies and stuff we wanted. I wonder how his kids feel about him being head coach at Ohio State. I wonder if he and his wife sat their children down and had a conversation with them and said, look, our lives are about to change. Yeah. I'm the head football coach at Ohio State, and that's going to bring more scrutiny on you at school and la 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 la. That's interesting to me, and I think it would be interesting to people. But in that format on a Tuesday where it's about Luke Fickell and it's about Cincinnati and it's about the line and the defense and all that, it's hard to find that time to ask him. But I hope to get that chance to ask him at some point about that. Before we get to what I did ask Ryan Day about the other day, I want to ask you, while we're talking former Buckeye running backs, current Dallas Cowboys, what about a former Buckeye running back who's an ex-Dallas Cowboy? It might have escaped a lot of people's notice. Mike Weber cut last week by the Dallas Cowboys. Did Mike Weber make a mistake leaving school to go to the NFL after being at OSU a redshirt year and 3 years as a player?
I don't think he would have helped his draft status one bit. I don't think he made a mistake at all. I think he took his shot. Because of the nature of the position, he was almost forced to go early. I think Mike saw the writing on the wall that J.K. Dobbins was going to be the mainstay. I mean, they might have said 1A, 1B.
Yeah.
I think J.K. Dobbins, in their minds, in the coaches' minds, he was going to be the main ball carrier. So I believe Mike Weber made the right choice. Now, if Mike could not make the Dallas Cowboys, and I watched the waiver wire, I don't think he's been picked up. Maybe he has been picked up on a practice squad. I don't know. Hopefully he has. If he hasn't, one of the benefits coming up is that the XFL is going to take place, and it'll give guys another platform to showcase their talents. But if you're asking me that Mike Weber, did he make a mistake of coming out early? No, he didn't. He's a running back. He took a shot. It didn't work out. And we'll see what his future holds.
Yeah, I don't think he made a mistake either for that same exact reason. I don't think he helps himself by staying. You're going to take more hits in college. You might as well take the chance to get paid. He certainly got paid something to go to camp with the Dallas Cowboys, more than he would have gotten paid at Ohio State. And I think, too, Mike Weber's one of those guys. We see it all the time. You know, James White from Wisconsin was a kind of a Mike Weber-type back. A lot of it is fit. A lot of it is finding the right place. Who was the guy the Rams picked up last year in the middle after Gurley got hurt? C.J. Anderson. I mean, so much of it is opportunity and fit. And I would not say that this means Mike Weber's NFL career is over. It just means that it's delayed and it's taken somewhat of a fitful start.
Yeah, but running backs set their own set of rules. And that's why I believe Urban even talked about this. I mean, he obviously wants all his guys to say, but if you're a running back, I mean, if you're staying another year, that's another year of hits. So that is not a positive on NFL draft boards or scouts. That's a negative because of the amount of hits that he would take at running back. And I'm hoping that Mike gets another opportunity. I think he's talented enough where he will get another look or another opportunity. And I don't believe he's been signed to a practice squad. I haven't seen it.
He has not, as of yet. But you know what? They're playing football on Sunday, and somebody's going to get injured, and somebody's going to need a player. That's how it goes.
I think Pollard was so impressive, too, that, you know, Mike, it also depends on numbers. Like, I'm doing the Falcons this week. They're keeping an unprecedented amount of running backs. I keep 5 or 6. I know the Vikings are keeping 5 or 6 running backs.
Why? With Dalvin Cook? He looked great.
You have Dalvin Cook. They have a guy named Mike Boone. They have a guy named C.J. Ham, who's a fullback. They have a guy, Amir Abdullah. And they have one on practice squad. The beating that these guys take, Bruce, is something where you want to have somebody that if you go down, you have somebody game ready that's in system. And plus, we've seen this day and age of NFL, long gone are the days of Eddie George. Right, that what we have now is guys, and we just talked about it with Zeke Elliott. They're on pitch counts. You got to manage the amount of touches and carries that they get because these guys have to go at least 16 games. And you think about it as we move forward into the future. If the NFL in their new collective bargaining agreement starts to go 18 games, running backs, you'll see more teams keeping 4 and 5 running backs, maybe 6 running backs, at least 5 and 1 on a practice squad.
Well, the Cincinnati Bearcats rotate running backs. Michael Warren is their main running back. And UC, of course, plays the Buckeyes on Saturday in Ohio Stadium. We have talked about the Luke Fickell, dynamic to this game with Luke, the former Ohio State player, former Ohio State assistant coach, coming back into the stadium to coach against Ryan Day, who, could have been a guy that Luke would have been contending for the right to succeed Urban Meyer had Luke stayed at Ohio State. He did not. Ryan Day is the man in Columbus. Luke Fickell is the man in Cincinnati. And Luke opened with a win over UCLA.
It's a good win.
UCLA is coached by Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly is Ryan Day's mentor. And so yesterday, when I got a chance to catch up with Ryan Day on the Ohio State campus, I asked him a series of questions, starting with whether he has had a chance to talk to Chip Kelly in the aftermath of the Bruins' loss Saturday night at Cincinnati. So there's Ryan Day, and he did talk about his favorite play of Justin Fields on Saturday was the throwaway, where he's talking about that stuff of you get rewarded for bad behavior sometimes because you're such a great athlete, but eventually in a game it will snap up to bite you.
Couple things. First of all, I gotta believe, I may not have been the main point of conversation, but I gotta believe. All right, Chip, what'd you have on him?
Of course,
I mean,
of course.
And I just think it's.
And there's nothing wrong with
it's, yeah, but it's probably difficult to say. Yeah, he kind of said it. Yeah, a little bit. So, what works, what doesn't work. I know that conversation took place.
Sure. Who's good on their defense?
I would think it would be a dereliction of duty if Ryan Day didn't say what works, what doesn't work. And believe me, Luke has his guys that say, okay, for Ohio State, this is what we have. Are we seeing it the same way you saw it? But that happens every week in every single college football game,
That's
so
football.
there's nothing wrong with that.
That's football.
I have a theory on quarterbacks that are coming in, playing early, and the success of those guys. Go ahead.
Justin Fields, huge day, 4 touchdown passes, 1 rushing. You know about Jalen Hurts because he's the Alabama guy, and he went 3 touchdowns rushing, 3 throwing. Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield have never done that before. The guy you may not know about, Jacob Eason, who was at Georgia and started a full year, then got hurt his first game as a sophomore. Jake Fromm stepped in, took Georgia to the national championship game. So Jacob Eason transferred the whole world now. We could have a playoff Spiels with Washington, quarterbacked by a former Georgia Bulldog, Ohio State, quarterbacked by a former Georgia Bulldog, and Georgia, quarterbacked by a Georgia Bulldog. Jacob Eason, in his debut for Washington, 27 of 36, 349 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And they're the only hope to get into the playoff from the Pac-12.
Yeah, well, my theory is on these quarterbacks and why they're so successful is simply this. First of all, in mainly high school quarterbacks, they're training to play quarterback from a very early age. Mm-hmm. They're training from hiring personal quarterback coaches. I know a couple people in town that have hired guys to help young players as young as 6 or 7 or 8 years old. And I'd do the same thing if I had a son that had potential to be a quarterback. to teach him how to drop back, to teach him how to hold the football, to work on footwork. Then, unlike when you and I were in school, most of our quarterbacks, they played 3 sports. They were
Yeah.
a shortstop or a pitcher.
Sure, they were the best athlete in school.
Yeah, they were the best athlete in school, so they played 3 sports. Well, we're not getting that. We have, first of all, these guys are going to quarterback camps, quarterback schools. Their own personal coach is a quarterback. They're 7-on-7s. And so when you have all these guys focused on playing the position, by the time a college comes in to recruit them, all these quarterbacks are more game ready or college ready than they were in the past. I think, and they're so much more knowledgeable in the mental part of the game. And that's why I think we're having this type of success from these young quarterbacks. The problem with that is that every high school hotshot quarterback thinks he should be the starter wherever he goes, and if that is not the case, they have the transfer rule, which I'm more than happy to endorse. I think, and you and I talked about this, that every college athlete should get a one-time waiver that, hey, it's not working out here, I don't like it, I'm going to transfer.
Yeah, but then you see guys like, remember Gunnar Kiel, who played at Cincinnati, originally signed with Notre Dame, and then you do see guys transfer someplace and never play and transfer again. There was a kid this week that I was watching who did that, and I can't think of his name, but transfer quarterback in the Big Ten, Brandon Peters, Michigan quarterback, looked pretty good for Illinois, but it's probably not hard to look good against Akron in the opener. But there are, I'm guaranteeing you could find, I'm going to say 12 Power 5 schools who were quarterback this year by a guy who transferred in from somewhere else.
Yeah, and we look at starting quarterbacks, either they're graduate transfers.
Yeah. Shea Patterson,
Jalen Hurts,
Hunter Johnson, Northwestern, came from Clemson.
So
Justin Fields, Jacob Eason, on and on and on.
So, but the question, or they're very young, right? Rarely do we have the guy, okay, he's been serving as a backup for 3 years now, and now his time.
Yeah.
Joe
Burrow. Joe Burrow's another transfer starting for somebody.
I look at my college career, right? We had Mike Tomczak.
Yep.
Jim Kersadas, who redshirted, was a redshirt junior, started his redshirt junior year and redshirt senior year. Tom Tupa, who was our punter, only played quarterback his senior year. Had a nice career as a punter and a backup quarterback. I don't know, close to 15, 16 years Tom played.
Had a very nice career.
Saved the roster spot.
Was the starting quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals for at least a year.
Yeah, and so, I mean, long gone are those days. And Ryan hit it right. It's the reality that we live in, that these guys, if they're not happy, if they're not getting an opportunity to play, they're going to go someplace else to play. And that's been the evolution of offense, too, because all the offenses in college football, at least the ones that I watch, are so quarterback friendly with all the RPOs and stuff. And they put up insane numbers.
We should get Mr. Tupa on the show sometime. Tom Tupa, I remember, was finishing his Ohio State football career when I came on the beat, moving to Cleveland from Miami, Florida. And I walked into St. John Arena one day for basketball practice, and Tom Tupa was out there playing basketball. And from a standing jump, jumped up and dunked it backwards.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa.
He's a tremendous athlete.
Whoa.
He was a tremendous athlete. Brecksville, Ohio.
Brecksville, Broadview Heights High School football coach right now. Yes.
Nice.
And, he had a very long career in the NFL and was, for my money, I don't know. Tom Skildany, Tom Tupa, greatest punter in Ohio State history. You could have a pretty good argument about that one.
Yeah, I remember Earl Bruce used to say, when Tupa hits a ball, it's like a beautiful 9-iron, that goes 170 yards.
Sounded like a bazooka.
Yeah, it was tremendous.
Twitter poll that we put out for the people. You watched Ohio State win easily on Saturday. You watched Michigan win easily, but not as easily, it didn't feel to me like, on Saturday night. So I asked, based upon what you saw, Ohio State, Michigan, are you more or less confident the Buckeyes will win in Ann Arbor at the close of the regular season? 76% of our respondents say they are more confident, and I am right there with them. More confident. I did not see anything from Michigan that concerned me, and I saw one thing, see if you can guess what it is, that I said, nope, that's not going to work.
For Michigan?
Yes.
You don't like the quarterback, who was the PFF, Pro Football Focus College Eckrich Farm Player, Big Ten Quarterback of the Week.
He was. Shea Patterson was the Pro Football Focus Eckrich So you have to be a meathead to pick him
Yeah, thank you.
quarterback of the week.
Here's why I am. I'm more confident in this. I'm
Okay.
not because of Justin Fields, not because of the 28 points. I'm more confident because I think that the defense is so much better. They play so much faster than they played last year. At times, I felt like our defense was playing in cement shoes last year. I think the linebackers are really good. Malik Harrison is...
Tell him your favorite linebacker.
Well, they're all good, but people got on Pete Warner. I mean, you have to watch the film and understand that Pete Warner is going to be an important part, and there's a reason why he's on the field, right? There's a reason why when they go the bullet package or whatever position they call it, he stays on the field.
Yeah.
He is a very good football player and a good linebacker, and he's big. He's 6'3", 240 pounds, and he
can
covers
run.
well. And he covers well.
Yeah.
So he's playing much better. So I'm more confident only from the fact of not anything to do with Ryan Day or the offense. I just think the defense is going to be so much better than it is or was last year. Now, that's not hard to do, but I just saw great signs on Saturday.
Okay, here's what I don't like about Michigan. It's bad enough when you are playing the wrong quarterback, which they are doing, in my opinion, in Shea Patterson.
I disagree with
who
that.
puts the ball on the ground a lot and misses guys who are open. The only thing worse than playing the wrong quarterback is playing two quarterbacks. And they are apparently dedicated to continuing this. Here is a quote from one of the two quarterbacks, the guy who should be starting and playing all the time, in my opinion, Dylan McCaffrey. He told Angelique Shangalis, our friend from the Detroit News, "The two-quarterback system, I obviously like it. It gets me a chance to get on the field. I think it can be really effective at times. I definitely think we'll work on it, and a lot of that is on me. I think it's fun. It's pretty versatile." No.
It's awful.
No.
You and I have never... We've been